to another episode of the iLife Technologies podcast. Today we have a new exciting guest, Steve Robinson, who is a new executive member of the iLife team. He's our new CRO, recently joined the team earlier this year. Very excited to have you here and wanted you to have the opportunity to share your journey with the audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Excited to be a part of iLife Technologies and always fun to chat about one of my favorite topics myself. Kidding. Now, this is a fun way to kind of walk through and talk about how I decided to cross over from the traditional insurance space and even the InsurTech space into the technology side of the house, which has been a journey. Fun, exciting to be here, but also took a lot of thought to be in the spot that we're in here.
I bet. So I know a lot of you in the audience will already know Steve. But for those who aren't familiar, let's give a high-level overview of how did you start your career, what did you do over time, and what led you into the technology world?
Right. So from college, I was an English and sociology major. So you see the direct correlation into insurance and technology, I'm sure, from that degree.
Totally.
But
that's
for me,
how we start.
Yeah, we all laugh in the insurance space is that, very few of us said, hey, I'm going to be in the insurance industry. And I'm in that bandwagon too. I wanted to be a high school English teacher and coach cross country and track. And here I am in the insurance space. But for me, I started out in the worksite marketing space where I took a job for a company in Florida. So I was excited to move from Virginia to Florida and live at the beach as a young college graduate.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. The company that I worked for put us up in housing, and so I got to live at Jacksonville Beach at their expense. And so I thought this career and job was amazing. I was excited to get going. But that was worksite marketing, and the job there was really to, learn the worksite marketing concept and product, and then work with BGA distribution, because at that time, BGAs were selling more group product and health product than they are traditionally today. Today, they're more annuities.
A lot has changed.
A lot has changed. Don't make it sound like it was that long ago, Nelson. Come on.
No, it wasn't.
But for me, it was a great way to get started in the industry. And I learned a lot about the basic insurance products. I got my insurance license then, and I just did all those basic things that you had to do to get up and running, and was there with that organization for 3 or 4 years. And then I moved into one of the BGAs that was distributing our products. They were based in Richmond, where I'm from, Richmond, Virginia, and I was covering a Southeast territory. And so they offered me an opportunity to join there kind of as a brokerage manager and go share that product that we were distributing with that company, as well as products with all these other companies. And so I thought it was a great opportunity and enjoyed doing that for a while, and did that until I pivoted into the home office of insurance companies in Virginia. So back in the day, it was Life of Virginia and First Colony Life, and they were then acquired by GE, and then eventually that was taken public as Genworth Financial. So a big part of my career was there, working in product development, working in distribution, leading IMO and BGA strategies, and I just really loved the relationship aspect of that business, and was there for a big part of the career. I joined Legal & General America after that. Some of the leadership that was at Genworth had gone to Legal & General America, and so I kind of followed with some of the peers and mentors that I had in the business.
You didn't have to go very far.
No, the great news for me, you're absolutely right. With all of these jobs, I've stayed right in Richmond, Virginia. So I was kind of a remote worker before it was a thing, before it was cool. I've always been kind of
So you worked at a BGA before it was a thing, and then you did remote work like long before remote work was a thing.
Right. I'm ahead of my time. Is that what you're saying?
You are.
Yeah. I really loved Legal & General America. It was a great opportunity for me because they were really high quality, low cost term provider. And everyone knew of Banner Life or Legal & General and wanted to distribute those products. And so it was fun to go and help them grow to the market leader that they are today.
And you were there way before they were at scale.
Oh, yeah. We took them from a smaller company into the company that they are today, really focusing on...
It's been a fun ride.
Great ride. Focusing on traditional brokerage, which was really the growth strategy. And then, so I did that for about 7 years, and then I pivoted over to their partnership strategy, where we're bringing on a large captive distribution to kind of grow and bring on their partnership strategy. A lot of fun, loved it, and I kind of, in that partnership world, got the InsurTech bug, if you will. I started going to InsurTech Connect and learning all these different things, and I really thought, well,
Did you go to the first ever?
that was the first ever one I've done.
That was 2017?
Actually, I think it was 2017 because it's been, I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
I think it was a smaller conference back then.
It was so small.
It was not 9,000 people.
No, not more like 900. But it was a close-knit community of people, and it was so fun, and I loved it. And then as we kind of grew in this InsurTech space, I had the opportunity eventually to go to an InsurTech company in the marketplace, Bestow, and they were trying to tap into the brokerage, the IMO, BGA distribution, and partnership strategy. So I went there and led that distribution strategy and helped them grow out to what they, at the time where they really would roll out and work with all of the IMOs and BGAs. They pivoted strategy and went to the software as a service and had a different game. And so I was talking with some friends and linked up with this really cool guy at this InsurTech company and started chatting with you about opportunities at iLife. And
through our good friend Jim Galley.
Yeah, a great friend. Worked with Jim when I was at Legal in General. And I kind of remember thinking to myself, what the heck am I doing? I am an insurance company guy that's been at the insurance company home office or in a distribution role my entire career. But there was something intriguing about the vision and the strategy and the product offering at iLife that was different than I'd seen working with other InsurTechs.
So just out of curiosity, did at any point in your life as you were growing up, you would think, I was going to work in a Silicon Valley startup?
Not even remotely. Honestly, Nelson, not a chance. I am a traditional life insurance guy. I believe in the noble profession of life insurance. I love it. And it's interesting to me that I'm in a technology world. I love what I'm doing, but if you'd asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have kind of chuckled and said, no way. So you never know what your future holds.
Yeah, I think I always love it when people tell me their journeys about like how they came and fell in love with the tech industry, how they want to create impact. And for many of them, the terms like SaaS, cloud, B2B, enterprise, or Silicon Valley in general, to many people, before they join and make an impact, it all seems very foreign.
Mm-hmm. I've been on this mission to kind of make the insurance industry cool. You've heard me joke and say that I'm the guy that sits on a plane and is proud to say, hey, I work in the insurance industry. And many people immediately pretend to be asleep. But I think it's...
They do that?
Yeah, so if you fall asleep on me, I'm really going to be disappointed. But it's an industry that I'm proud to have put my career in, proud to be a part of. And I think it's an incredibly noble profession that I've never shied away from saying, hey, I work in the insurance industry. I sell insurance because I've done that in my career. And indirectly, I've done it my entire career. So for me to pivot over to a tech career is interesting. But to make the insurance industry cool, in this day and age, you really need the power of technology to do that. The traditional way of selling insurance is not the way we sell insurance today.
So tell me a little bit about your decision-making process in all transparency on not just iLife specific, because obviously like I'm here, but just joining the technology world in general. And I asked that, and I know we talked about it before we formally started working together. Did you ever have to think about that when you were thinking of joining a tech company? That you would be perceived as a quote-unquote vendor in the traditional insurance sense?
You know, it absolutely. I would be lying if I said it didn't cross my mind when I was looking at the concept of a technology.
I remember us talking about it.
And for me, if you're on the carrier side, the perception when you go to a conference or meeting is different than if you're on the vendor side. And even when you go and set up a booth at a conference.
You feel like a vendor wants something from you.
Your booth location as a vendor is going to be in the back of the room where a carrier is going to be up front. And yet they all work together and they're all very cohesive. And so I just, I decided to put that out of my mind and say, I think there's value in what iLife is doing. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think iLife is different. I don't really see iLife as a vendor. They are a technology partner. Yes, we are working with carriers. Yes, we're making a software transaction or a sale indirectly. But it's not use this product to make more sales. It's really carrier and distribution connectivity.
I'm very biased in this because I run my company, but I have always thought of ourselves as an infrastructure company. and that we are not just a vendor, because the right infrastructure should feel like a fundamental revamp of like how a state or a country has their airports and highways and railroads, as opposed to like we're just getting like a new car. I mean, like a new car is great, but it's not infrastructure.
You know, I one of the conversations we had early on that kind of ties into this was an application process today where how cool would it be if the application is like a Google document where I'm the agent and I'm in the application. The consumer, the proposed insured could be in the application. The case manager at the BGA or the home office could be in that application.
So real time and collaborative.
You know, what a great way to get that information instead of having to send an email to one person that sends it to another, that sends to another, and then it goes back and forth. It's real time and you get it right away. That's different.
Yeah, I think new business is a great way of expressing how much infrastructure can affect experience for so many different stakeholders. Obviously, new business is not the only use case, but it's a great one because everyone's familiar with it, right? We need to literally sell new policies, new business for the
or service in-force business. What if you had access to the data for your in-force policies
or in-force commissions,
right?
Or contracting and license. It all comes down to the flow of data, and is it data or is it in time? So, like you mentioned, what if everyone could work on the same thing at once?
It's interesting when I think about what we're doing here, and I really bring it down to when we talk about carrier and distribution connectivity. For me, that's really cool. There's so much information at the carrier that distribution partners need to have access to, and they can't always connect and get that. Making that available to them within the right protocol. There's some information that you can release, some you can't. So all of that is followed. But allowing distribution to connect into the carrier and have that information that they can see, manipulate, do things with is a big game changer. And it just is, it's transparency. And it also enables distribution to connect into a carrier where they probably have not been able to do in the past. So it gives us new opportunities to grow sales, to have new types of partnerships that typically would have been all hard-coded and built one-off. And so in a home office of a carrier, I could go to our team and say, hey, I've got this great project, this great strategy. We can bring on this new partner. They're going to write X million dollars of business. And someone else may have another one that they bring to the table too. And then we have to decide which one of those two we're going to do. Why do we have to decide? Why can't we have this connectivity and availability to information and be
that
able
is
to do
agnostic?
Both? Yes, and be able to do both.
So you brought up a really good point. I remember you talking to me about this when we first met. You mentioned how many carriers often have to really pick and choose. Because they have so many different software application platforms they have to manage.
Yeah.
And regardless of which one is better or worse than any other in any way, the notion that they have to pick and they can't power everything with one infrastructure feels like it's kind of the root of the problem, right? So I remember you described this, and I agree with that description. You described this as a problem of lack of reusability.
Right.
Tell me more about that. What exactly is lacking reusability?
If you build out a strategy and you hard code it and you engage your IT team and build out this great program, but I can only use that with one distribution partner, that's a big ask. And that's what we've done historically. But if it's something that I can say, hey, this can be
Have you seen that as a big pain point when you were from the carrier perspective?
It's a constant thing. You have to choose A, B, or C because the IT team can only do so many things at once. They have other things to do
even
other
if you
than
had
my
large
projects.
budgets,
Yeah.
even if you had large budgets, you probably needed 3 teams to maintain platforms A, B, and C.
And it's also,
Because they were non-transferable, I assume.
not transferable, not reusable.
Let me ask it this way: How reusable was the technology between each of these individual platforms? How transferable were they to each other?
Not at all. It was one-on-one.
Close to zero.
Yeah, I mean, it's one-on-one. There may be the idea is transferable, the concept, but the actual data and the work that's done, really not.
The logic,
all redone.
the management of workflow, business rules.
And as soon as you build it, then they're going to want to make an edit or a change to something. You got to go back one-on-one and build all that out.
So the budget just balloons.
Right. And, there are some, let's be honest, some deals pan out and are great distribution, and it's a big success.
That's like
some do not. And having this reusability concept and having access to data, if you have one that doesn't work out as well as you planned, it's not as expensive because you didn't hard code and build everything specific to that one partner.
That would be like, from an infrastructure perspective, if a state government said, we're going to build out one set of highways for sports cars, and it'll be for sports cars only.
I'm getting a sports car.
And this other highway is family vans and SUVs only. And even if there's no one now driving on the sports car highway, no one else besides the sports car can use it.
Right.
That feels like how platforms used to be managed.
Maybe that's the concept of the fast lane and the slow lane and the middle lane. It's
but at least the concept of lanes would be in the same freeway.
Yeah.
But you're saying there is a almost total lack of reusability, which means they would not be different lanes. They would be entirely different freeways that didn't even connect.
When you build out a proprietary solution for a distribution partner, it is specific to them.
I do understand from a carrier perspective, though, if I was a carrier exec and these were not reusable, I would want to pick and choose.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do them all.
You got to place your best bet.
But if they were all reusable, then it didn't really matter, because as a carrier exec, if I have various systems and all my systems have certain connectivity capabilities, I want them to work for all and any outside party.
So now you can say yes,
A distributor,
yes, instead of no, yes, no.
A distributor, even a software vendor that wants to connect, a reinsurance company.
Right.
You think about it
this isn't just distribution. That's a great point, Nelson. It's reinsurance. It's connectivity with other vendors for licensing, contracts.
There's nothing inherently that limits a universal API connectivity to the distributors, although that's obviously like one of the biggest use cases, because people can easily quantify sales ROI, and they should.
Right.
It's not a bad use case, but I like to think of other very highly regulated financial industries, so we don't veer too far from the industry we're serving. So let's talk about like banking. Banks can and have built out their own proprietary systems, and they still have them today, like xyzbank.com. You go in and see your bank statement, balance, transaction, and all that. That's all fine and good. But they also build centralized, standardized, and reusable stuff. They work with companies like Plaid. And by partnering with Plaid, they can not only obviously work with distributors who can have access to banking information, therefore provide banking-related services. They also can work with outside parties who, in the beginning, look nothing like a distributor, like a Venmo. If everyone built their own Plaid for every Venmo, if you think about it,
no reusability.
There would be 1 million Venmos and there would be 1 million Plaids, and all of them would be infinitely less valuable, because with connectivity, the more fragmentation there is, the less valuable and more friction there is for the user. Yeah. If you were an outside party that is not a carrier, a distributor, a reinsurer, a technology company, a CRM, any type, a bank or wealth manager who sells some amount of insurance or annuity, it is extremely difficult. Forget getting information from different insurance companies. It's extremely difficult getting information and workflow done between different products of the same company.
Right.
And I think that is an infrastructure problem. I think you can't really solve that by having a new app and a new interface.
So I keep thinking, listening to all of this, when we start out saying, are we a vendor? We're not a vendor. This is all about connectivity. We are helping carriers and distributors transfer data and information. That's the core of what we're doing, putting it in this middleware, this universal API concept, where we're lifting it out of the carrier's older COBOL-based admin systems and putting it into this universal API where distribution can connect in JSON. I'm trying to sound really cool with all these new languages that I've learned.
I love that you're talking in JSON.
I know, it's pretty cool. My kids are really impressed. But it makes so much sense. That's a modern language. It's how people today connect and communicate. It's a plain language for technology. You can't really connect into COBOL. That's all hard-coded. But if you lift it up and put it in this universal API, it's a very easy connectivity. And I love the analogy you gave on one of the many conversations when we were talking, when I was deciding to join, that really gives us a big power strip. That universal API is this big power strip where different partners, vendors, distribution can connect into.
Can you imagine if the world existed in a way where you needed different kinds of power strips for different types of appliances?
Right.
There would be no universal outlet. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, it wouldn't even make sense.
It would be nuts.
Yeah. There's a difference in being a vendor and being kind of a core part of the solution or the infrastructure of a company. And I think that's the difference in what we're doing at iLife. And it was appealing to me to join because of that. It's not just another vendor relationship. I see what we're doing as really integral core part of that business, that carrier. We're not giving them something new and different. We're just enabling them to access their information differently.
Yes, and access to information is such a key part of literally everything.
Right. Nelson, this is a ton of fun. And I know we've kind of talked a little bit about it, but, we need to talk with more people. It's great to chat with you. I learned a ton. If you and I start having these chats and bring in different industry leaders, whether it's carrier executives, whether it's industry executives, whether it's distribution, and have chats like this on a regular basis, it's going to help them understand what the market is doing and how we're changing. We're going to learn so much from them. And quite honestly, it's just fun.
And we should talk to them because if you're building fundamental infrastructure, well, I think you had better listen to the people who are going to use and benefit from the infrastructure, right? We got to be infrastructure builders. Doesn't mean that you don't listen to your customers.
Right. And the customers, again, whether it's a carrier, whether it's distribution, whether it's industry executive, whether it's other vendors, and we can think through all these different folks that we want to talk to. So I think what we're doing is launching a new co-hosted podcast for iLife.
I would go one step further to say that if any of you in the audience have someone in mind or want yourself to come participate in the podcast,
reach out.
Please reach out. Highly encourage you or whoever you have in mind to come participate. We would love to hear from all of you.
No agenda, just a conversation. Well, this was a ton of fun, Nelson. I'm excited to be on board. I know we have great things planned with new carrier relationships, new distribution partners that we're working with.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to take this to a great new level. So I'm
so
excited
glad to have you on this side of the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much.